They knocked on my door. And they told me my baby was dead. I could not believe that. I would not believe that. Then I started seeing pictures being posted everywhere of my baby. Nobody's telling me anything. I don't know anything. It's agonizing because I know nothing. Somebody does, and I want them to come forward. Because if it was your family members, you would want the same thing. I just do not understand. I can't wrap my head around it. My baby is gone. I'm here alone. I have no family here. It's just me. Now I'm trying to raise money to ship her back to Texas because that's where all her family is. It just makes sense. That's where her family is. I'm gonna lay her to rest next to my father.
We walk around the back, and there's a lady lying asleep. We think she's asleep.
On March 28, 2015, a man reported that he and his girlfriend had spotted a girl sleeping in what appeared to be an abandoned house. Once authorities responded to the scene, they saw something gruesome. Police found a 17-year-old girl deceased with at least 14 wounds to her body. The young girl, identified as Tierra Hall, was said to be stabbed by her ex-boyfriend on the last day of school before spring break. Tierra was 17 years old and raised by her mother in Texas, but during her high school years, her family moved from Texas to Durham, North Carolina. Tierra enrolled in Jordan High School. Tierra could make friends with anyone, but she was especially close with her best friend, Amya. Tierra and Amya were described as two peas in a pod. While attending Jordan High, Tierra also became close with another student named Kelton Brashawn Fox. According to Tierra's mother, the two were in an on-again, off-again relationship, but Tierra had ended it for good around Christmas 2014 because he was allegedly too clingy.
I tried to get her to elaborate on what clingy meant. She said, "He's just too clingy." And she just brushed it off. Like, I thought, okay. He was so mannerable. He shook my hand, was yes ma'am, no ma'am, made sure she got in the house before he left, everything. So, I mean, I had no reason to think that he would do anything to her. I thought he loved her.
Although Tierra didn't go too much into detail, her mother saw no signs of trouble and thought her daughter was fine. After Christmas break, Tierra went back to school and continued the semester. The outgoing and free-spirited teen had dreams of pursuing a business degree after graduating from Jordan. Tierra was also hoping to secure enrollment at North Carolina Central University, but that all changed on March 27th, 2015. Tierra, like everyone else, went to school that day, but her mother heard nothing from her daughter despite calling her and texting her countless times. When Tierra didn't come home from school, her mother drew even more concerned. She continued to search and call for Tierra, even asked for help. Her mother even thought maybe she was staying with a friend, but unfortunately, that was not the case. The next day, Tierra's body was found behind an empty house less than 2 miles from her school. She was stabbed at least 14 times, and once police notified her mom, she was in complete disbelief.
Tierra's mom says the two had an emotional argument Friday morning before school, but she says her daughter was a responsible girl. She had a routine, first school, then home, time with friends after that. But last Friday, Tierra never came home.
She was so good about telling me where she was going to be, who she was going to be with, when she was coming home. Mom, can I stay? Because she had a mistrust of people. But this happens to her. She was a happy-go-lucky, humble girl. I had no trouble out of her, no trouble.
On March 28th, the police received a 911 call. A man said he and his girlfriend discovered what they thought was a woman sleeping at an abandoned house. This house was just 2 miles from Jordan High School. Once police arrived, they knew immediately the young victim was deceased. She was a young black teen wearing gray sweatpants and a t-shirt with Elmo on the front of it. The crime scene was described as brutal. Tierra had been stabbed 14 times and had injuries to her head, neck, face, and chest. Near the body was a phone case with a graffiti that read King K the Savage. Inside Tierra's pocket, the police found a hall pass from Jordan High School, and that's when the investigation grew further. Once police got to the school, they noticed the high school had several surveillance cameras, so they reached out to the assistant principal, Michael Irving, for assistance. Michael said he received a phone call while checking his emails. He met with the police at the high school and went through the cameras. The police already knew what Tierra was wearing and how her hair was styled. Not long after watching video, she was spotted walking through the hallways, just going about her day and walking in a classroom. The police walked to that very classroom and found Tierra's backpack. The classroom computer was still left on and her name was at the bottom corner of the computer. At that moment, police then notified Tierra's mother about her daughter's death. Her mother told police she didn't know why anyone would want to hurt Tierra. She was also able to tell police about seeing Tierra before she left school and that she didn't come home that night. She also gave the police Tierra's cell phone number so they can analyze her records, because unfortunately, police weren't able to find her cell phone at the scene. The very next day, the police canvassed the area of the crime scene. Several witnesses said that they heard something suspicious, like a woman scream. One witness said they knew for sure that one of the neighbors in the area had surveillance cameras, and that homeowner was happy to help with the investigation. On the homeowner's footage, around 12:40, a male figure was seen walking down the road in the direction of the house. Lo and behold, you see Tierra following the male figure just a minute or so later. The police immediately went back to Jordan High School to look through their surveillance. While watching, they observed Tierra interacting with a male student. He was tall, was wearing a red long-sleeve shirt and blue pants. At first, the conversation seemed friendly until he had seen snatching something from Tierra. It was believed to be her cell phone. The camera followed him and Tierra walking out the school and about 2 miles in the direction of the house. The male then returns to the school alone, walks into the bathroom with a long-sleeve shirt pulled over his hands. Police said then on camera the male eventually leaves school with an older woman. He was last seen wearing a black jacket and book bag. This led police to contact the assistant principal again, and Michael was able to identify that male student as Kelton Fox, Tierra's ex-boyfriend. Michael said that he saw Kelton that day. He told him that he wasn't feeling well and that he was picked up in the office by his mother. After that conversation, the police went into the high school and swabbed the men's bathroom. And inside the bathroom, the police still found traces of blood. And on Tuesday, March 31st, Kelton was arrested, and the police asked him if he knew why he was in handcuffs. He replied because one of his friends is gone and they need to find who did it.
Has arrested 17-year-old Kelton Rashawn Fox at his home earlier this morning. Fox is charged with 1 count of murder.
Kelton and his mom were both taken into the police station. He denied being involved and said that he never left the school property. However, a warrant obtained from his home said something else. In Kelton's bedroom, the police found several knives and axes. They also found a notebook with King K the Savage and several pages outlining Kelton's obsession with Tierra. Kelton's mom said she knew that he carried a pocket knife with him, but she was totally in shock that her son could harm another human being. 3 years later, on Thursday, June 14, 2018, Kelton Fox pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 12 to 15 years in prison, and he is expected to be released in April 2027.
Meanwhile, Kelton Fox doesn't show much emotion just minutes after admitting he killed her.
Did you in fact commit that offense, Mr. Fox? Yes, sir.
The prosecution asking the judge to give Fox the maximum allowable sentence, but the defense asking for Fox's mental illness and age of 17 at the time of the crime to be taken into consideration.
When this happened, Kelton couldn't vote. He couldn't buy cigarettes. He couldn't buy alcohol. He couldn't serve in the military and fight in a battle. He was a child. And importantly, he had a child's brain.
He's going to be sentenced to a minimum of 144 months.
The police were not able to prove that this was premeditated. However, the police believe Kelton had taken Tierra's phone knowing she would follow him. They believe he lured Tierra away from the school to harm her. I will continue to keep Tierra's friends and family in my thoughts and prayers, and I just want them to know that it is a group of Black girls that are sharing Tierra's story. When I went to DC, Tierra's story was shared to me by high schoolers, and they were given safety tips to other girls their age. But another side of the conversation was, how could something like this happen? How could this be the verdict? And explaining that to girls between the ages of 14 to 18 years old can sometimes be uneasy. You guys, let me know your thoughts and your opinions about this story down below. Let's please respect the victim. I thought this story was also important to share because we are back in school. Let's please make sure we are safe and using discernment. What safety tips do you give your high schoolers? Let us know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Love you guys. And with that being said, don't forget to check on your loved ones.